Alright, so now we move on to the next type of build, which I personally don't like all that much because it's very flashy, but it's pretty much the strength build. One of the, obviously, the commonality for all the weapons used in it is that they all require strength, alright, which pretty much limits it to assault rifles, heavy machine guns, and shotguns. They're like the only weapons. So for strength builds, you don't have as much leeway. I mean, there's quite a bit of strategy and sort of a finesse to the critical build because there's all those weapon types you can play off of. But for strength build, you're pretty much limited to machine guns and shotguns. Yeah, you'll notice I haven't mentioned explosives up to this point. That's because they can go in either one. But in this case, for a strength build, pretty much the main features of a strength build is that it does more damage per second on average than a critical build. There are some exceptions, for instance, with maxed out critical, and I mean like the whole 124 all weapons God crafted type critical. With that, a K50M can outperform an M60. I'm pretty sure Jarkey from the Wikipedia said it was pretty reliable, and he's an administrator, so I'm going to take his word on this, even though I haven't bothered to do the calculations. But so, except for rare instances, pretty much the strength build trumps the critical build in terms of damage per second. However, it makes up for this with two things. First, all strength build weapons, because they create high aggro pretty quickly, will need instant reloading in addition to the high strength. And once you get towards the end primarily with like heavy machine guns and then the end shotguns like the Protecta and the USAS-12, those require like 100 strength and 100 reloading, so they're stat hogs. I mean, all those points in strength and reloading, those are points you can't put into accuracy, they're points you can't put into agility, and they're points you can't put into endurance. Which means a strength build is not that great for a new player unless you got some pretty decent guts and you're willing to take the penalty to endurance and agility in order to use these weapons. Something else can be said about strength builds. It's rather expensive from what I've experienced because, like anyone can tell you, the M60 uses up ammo really fast, just like all the other um, heavy machine guns. Even assault rifles will blow through rifle rounds very quickly, and anyone can tell you rifle rounds are not that cheap. I mean, if you're using them in a rifle, then they're fired at a slow enough rate that you don't go through them very quickly. But a strength build, you got an AK-47 on full auto fire, like say at the main gate, you're going to blow through a lot of ammo very quickly. Um, and then, of course, there's the GAU-19, which can bankrupt a player in a matter of minutes. It blows through ammo that fast. Um, so pretty much those are the main features of a strength build. Now, now we take some look at some examples of that. Alright, and here is where you can see two prime examples of a strength build. Alright, we'll start off with Kenrizer. Kenrizer. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Kenrizer. Very high level player, so he's had time to develop some of his stats. Here you can see shotguns and machine guns are pretty much the primary weapons with some training in explosives. He's obviously managed to get in the death shop at some point. I will comment on this. Strength builds are a lot more likely to get into the death shop primarily because the USAN 12, which you can see here, is an excellent PvP weapon, pretty much the best by everyone's opinion, and this poorly renamed GAU here is an example of a good weapon to get into top survivor. So strength builds are very likely to get into the dust shop. I will point that out. That is something I have to give them. I'm on a critical build and I've tried a couple times, but I can't make it on either. And you can see here pretty much strength, reloading have been maxed out, although it looks like he's maxed out a couple others. He is level 93. Since that's not a great example, we'll move on to the next one. Sean. See? How hard is it to pick a name that people can read? Here we can see another example. He's another strength build. He's trained shotguns and machine guns. He's got some bizarrely named exterminator reactive armor there. And he too has put some training into explosives. And he's got strength 100. And see, he is not maxed out reloading. If I could talk to him right now, I'd suggest that he do so because that's pretty much what he's going for. He does have accuracy 92 though. he is trying to pull off an interesting other stat thing. So this could probably work too. I'd say right now train the heck out of reloading. But anyway, so he's got some good training there. And yeah, pretty much these are two prime examples. I would have tried to find a little more of a classic example, but I was looking, like, for instance, in the gold member discussion things, and practically everybody was using critical based weaponry. It's very hard to find a pure strength build nowadays, mostly because they blow through ammo so fast that, say, for instance, Kenny, Kenny there and Sean here, they're both using heavy machine guns, and Kenny's got a USS 12. I'm gonna call them by the older names. The new ones are retarded. But those go through ammo really fast, so unless you have a very good source of income, like for instance, neither of these guys is a doctor or an engineer or a scientist or so on. So unless you have a good source of income, you need ghost ammo. Ghost ammo, I don't know how many of you listeners or viewers know what ghost ammo is, but it's basically you pay 8,000 credits and you get 15,000 rounds a day of ammo. It doesn't show up in your inventory, but you'll see it if you have, like for instance, my weapon over here, the K50M, it says 1,287 rounds. I would only see 1287 rounds in my inventory, but if I had ghost ammo, it would actually say 16,287 rounds. I couldn't see the extra rounds. Um, but it does mean you get it per day, every day, for the one-time flat fee. However, 8,000 credits is about $200 real life money if you buy two 4,000 credit batches. If you go all the way up to 10,000 credits, then it's like 240 something. But the point is that it's very, very expensive. It's either you can go without ghost ammo in the game, which is very expensive in in-game cash, or you can get ghost ammo, which means very little in-game cash taken up, but real life cash, it is rather expensive. So pretty much not critical, strength builds are rather hard to pull off without a lot of money in one form or another.